Good morning. My name is Danielle Flint. I am a mother of three, two of which have sickle cell disease. Ariana is my middle child who will be 10 soon. She was the client of the Children's Disability Project through the Greater Boston Legal Services, who assisted with our appeals process. Tara Doucette was the attorney who represented my family. So like I said, my daughter Ariana was born with sickle cell disease, which is an inherited blood disorder that comes with many different symptoms, such as severe pain, increased infections, heart attacks, strokes, organ damage, and sometimes the need for blood transfusions. When Ariana was diagnosed at birth, I had little to no knowledge of the illness, but soon enough I would learn its unpredictability and different levels of severity. During infancy, she was hospitalized many times due to infections, and shortly after returning to work, Ariana's hospitalizations became more frequent. I was forced to miss a lot of work because of her illness, and I ended up losing my job when Ariana was just 5 months old. I was encouraged to apply for SSI for my daughter through Children's Hospital. The social worker was encouraged to inform me that the chief of hematology, who happened to be Ariana's treating source, felt that she definitely qualified for the benefits. So I followed the social worker's advice and I applied in August of 2008. A few months later, I received my first denial stating that she didn't meet the criteria. So I was encouraged again by the same social worker to appeal, and I did. And 3 months later, I received my second denial letter saying that there was a missing signature on a form and they could not process the application, well, the appeal. So at that time, I was employed as a case manager at Head Start, where my daughter also attended, and this gave me access to her during her crisis and timely manner that I had to reach her whenever she went into crisis. And through that work, I often referred clients to Greater Boston Legal Services for housing needs and other matters. So I was aware of them, and that's where I met Tara once I did my intake, and little did I know the journey that her and I would go on. So we had our first hearing before the judge in 2010, which was denied. We appealed all the way to federal court, which was resulted in a second hearing in 2013, which was also denied. Our third and last hearing took place in 2015. And even though her medical challenges and the 7-year battle with Social Security sounds well summarized, there was a lot of pain, grief, and times of despair. I remember shortly after being fired, being in the ICU with Ariana, watching her sleep, and feeling completely defeated. Here I stood before my daughter with machines all around, feeling like a complete failure. I had no job, just a high school diploma, no cure for this monster that was robbing my daughter of her childhood. And meanwhile, the state is telling me that my daughter is not that sick. Do you know what it feels like to know that there's a possibility that you might outlive your child? So for years, I was stuck in this tug of war with Social Security. Her medical team provided numerous letters of support and extensive explanations of Ariana's disabilities and her rights to benefits. But every 2 to 3 years, a medical expert would sit across from me and tell me otherwise. I was beginning to believe it must not be that bad. I remember after leaving the first ALJ hearing back in 2010, I assumed it was over. I could tell the medical expert had minimized everything that my daughter was going through. This is when I had my first heart-to-heart with Tara, my attorney, and was honest with her. And I told her, I honestly have no more fight left in me. I was done. But she was hopeful, and she looked me straight in the eye and told me, you worry about your daughter and let us take care of the legal stuff. You have enough on your plate. Your daughter's entitled to these benefits. They were made for family like yours. So Tara kept her word. During our work together, we went through several interns and gaps without any. And I often worried, because of funding, that they would have to drop my case because it was so time-consuming and complicated, but they never did. Through each appeal and denial, we worked as a team. Step by step, Tara and her interns would explain the next plan of action. It was clear that my family wasn't just this Bible-sized manila folder to the project. Every hand that touched that case genuinely cared about my daughter and the benefits that she was entitled to. So in fact, I'll bring you back to the last appeal when we waited for the judge. His secretary came out in the room and asked why the parent wasn't present. Well, I was there. And not with my head down, feeling ashamed or guilty that I was seeking the stigmatized title of disabled for my daughter. I was there empowered by my representative and convinced that the medical expert soon to be sitting across from me could not be more knowledgeable than me on my child and her condition. I was her primary treating source. And we won that day, a victory that sometimes feels like a fairy tale. Her benefits went retroactive to the date of application. So from 2015, we went all the way to 2008. And Tara continued to help me then. We were able to request for funds to be released to purchase a vehicle to get Ariana to and from school and to medical appointments. As of today, Ariana has faced many medical challenges, and some worse than others, but overall she's doing very well. In fact, she was even able to go to Hawaii after nearly spending a month in and out of the hospital on a Make-A-Wish trip. See, I stand before you a success story because the project never gave up on me. They never stopped fighting for my family. They allowed me to be a parent. I didn't have to learn how to be a lawyer on top of learning this complicated illness. Instead, I could go to school, get my education, and provide more stability for my family and model to my children to never give up. So today, I have my master's degree in social work. I am a licensed clinical social worker. I advocate for other families going through similar things, and most importantly, I can advocate for my children. I'm here today to say thank you again to GBLS and to ask you to support civil legal aid so that other families like mine can get the help they need. Thank you.